If there's a filter you'd like to see before we begin, just leave a comment. I'll keep an eye on the comments and then I will follow up with additional oil filters. Now, last week were the top 5 selling oil filters at AutoZone. Today we only have 4 from Advanced Auto Parts. I'll talk about why there's only 4 here today. In a couple days after this, we will see the top 5 at Walmart, top 5 from Amazon, etc., and just keep the ball rolling. Okay, Advanced Auto Parts. Now, right off the bat, this is sort of interesting. Around 4 or 5 years ago, I opened these 2 filters on the left. The difference is these were made in the USA. You can clearly see made in the USA, even on the box. Even on the box, I saw it, there we go, made in the USA. On both filters, today it's different. Their cheapest filter is made in China. The premium is made in Vietnam. So just a heads up, some of you just want filters made in the USA. Typically they are, but nonetheless, these 2 are not, okay? They're made in Asia. Now, this is what I paid for these filters this morning at the local Advanced Auto Parts. And this is sort of fun because if you're someone like me, the 2 nearest franchise auto parts stores happens to be Advanced Auto Parts and AutoZone. Walmart is a solid hour round trip. So maybe you go back and forth between these 2 stores and their oil filter bundles. You'll see a difference between Carquest Advanced Auto Parts and AutoZone's STP oil filters. You'll see differences on the construction if you saw last week's video. So that being said, regarding the shell, as you can see, it's roughly 0.5 to 0.6 mil regarding the thickness of the canister. Why does that matter? Certainly if you're off-roading, and I'll talk very quickly about a story that happened to me last Super Bowl. One of these filters really saved me big time. The Carquest standard is rated at 95% efficiency down to 20 microns. You can look up what that means, but you're talking particles smaller than the human hair or a human hair. So 20 microns, 95%. This is made up to 5,000 miles. So if you're changing your oil every 3 months, every 3,000 miles or so, this is perfect. This will do the job as long as you're changing the oil that often. Metal end caps and a metal center core. A lot of filters, for example, they use plastic cores, okay? So this has a metal center core up to 5,000 miles. The media is cellulose if you're curious, 95% efficiency. Regarding this guy up here, this is a bypass valve. So if the filter ever becomes clogged, around 14 to 16 PSI, this would open up and unfiltered oil would get back in the engine. It's a safety feature. That's what it's there for. And then we have this guy. This is where you start to see some differences between the 2 Carquest filters here. Certainly on your more expensive filters, you always see silicone anti-drainback valve versus nitrile rubber. Even with the seating gasket, this is nitrile rubber, this is silicone. Now, what's the difference? Silicone can just last or do better on higher temperatures, but also it's designed for the longevity. You're going longer between your oil filter changes. That's what you're paying for here. 95% efficiency on the standard. Carquest Premium is 99% efficiency. This is a synthetic blend regarding the media. Again, the Carquest standard is cellulose. It doesn't matter, right? Bottom line, 5,000 miles, 10,000 miles. Okay, that's simple. Anti-drainback valve, nitrile rubber on the Carquest standard. Premium, it's silicone. And then the gasket material, again, nitrile rubber versus silicone in the premium. That's it. That's why you're paying more on the premium, because it lasts longer if you are extending your oil filter intervals. Now, how come we don't have Carquest Extended Performance? I went to 2 separate Advanced Auto Parts. They did not have it in stock because all of these filters are made for the same vehicle. I don't want to mix and match anything because like you can clearly see Mobil1 and K&N made for the same vehicle. Look at the surface area. So I don't want to mix and match anything. That's the first thing, but ultimately it is a 20,000 mile filter, oil filter, very similar to Mobil1 and K&N. Okay, so let's just talk about these 2 right off the bat. The shell, incredibly strong shells on the Mobil1 and the K&N. Cutting these open, you can clearly feel, I can cut this open within 30 seconds easily, no problem. This took a lot more effort to cut. The burst pressure is 450 PSI. On the Mobil1, K&N is more like 550 PSI. Very, very strong shells, canisters. Both are made in the USA. Where you start to see some differences, again, Mobil1 uses a piece of steel here, a coil spring. K&N uses a stamped piece of steel. Again, if this clogs up, this opens up, unfiltered oil will get back in the engine. Both use metal end caps. Mobil1 has a metal center core. K&N has a plastic center core. In terms of filtration, Mobil1 is 99%. Very high filtration rates. I mean, just that is very, very small particles. And once again, silicone anti-drainback valve and a silicone mating gasket. Regarding K&N, this is also rated at 20,000 miles. The efficiency is 98% at 30 microns. Again, metal end caps, plastic center core, anti-drain back valve is silicone, along with the mating surfaces. The other thing to note on the end of the K&N filter is a 1-inch nut. Now, this is only for removal. You can see the spot welds. If you tighten this too much, it can crack a spot weld, and then it's going to leak oil. So don't use this to tighten up the filter, only for removal. And then this guy right here, if you're racing, you insert a safety wire. So if the filter ever becomes loose, this would not fall on the track. The safety wire would keep the filter from really causing havoc on the track and that sort of thing. So the main differences, once again, this has a little bit higher filtration rate. Both run anti-drainback valves of silicone. The mating surfaces are silicone for the gasket. This just has a thicker shell, and I believe this has more of a higher flow rate. I think 16 gallons per minute. I couldn't pick anything up on Mobil1. So I hope that gives you a pretty good idea on what you can expect from these filters. Ultimately, as long as you're changing your filter on time, get whatever's on sale. That's the way I see it. Personally, I always go with fully synthetic motor oil. That's just me. Mobil1, K&N, Purelator Boss, Wix XP. That's just, I'm changing the oil no matter what every 7,000 miles maximum. I tend to pay a little bit more and let me get the good filtration. But that's the way, I roll. But that being said, wrapping it up, this saved me big time. I mentioned this last week. Last Super Bowl Sunday, I went snowboarding. It's 9 o'clock at night. I'm ready to leave. And it was so crowded during the day. I had to park on like this farm area with these big dips and valleys. Really needed a truck, but I had my Subaru, my wife's Subaru with me, and Impreza, which is low to the ground. And the dips were so large getting out of this field that it actually dislodged the front bumper. It was just crazy dips and valleys. But also, I went over this, it was like the end of a broomstick, really thick wood, and it shot up because I heard it, boom. And this wood struck the oil filter. Now, fortunately, I had K&N on the filter at the time. It's like nothing ever happened. It was so strong. If anyone has ever cut open these filters, really, really strong shell. If it was something like this, I think it would have punctured it. And imagine 9 o'clock at night getting a tow truck on Super Bowl Sunday. It just would not have happened. I would have been there all night. So that's, again, like I said, typically go with the higher filters. That's just me. But I hope that gives you guys a pretty good idea. Again, next couple days, actually, because I have the filters coming tomorrow, we're going to do Walmart, and then Amazon, and we'll keep it up.